listening. You're listening to the Real Estate Wholesaling Syndicate podcast. I'm your host, Kai Logue. Every week, we do it Friday, 12:30. I have different wholesalers, different investors, different people in the industry come share their stories, share what they're doing now in their business, what's working, what's not, how they got started, and answering any questions you guys have. So if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments, and we'll do a Q&A portion at the end. But today, I'm joined by my good friend, Jamie LeBlanc. He's also a fellow syndicate member, fellow wholesaler. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Hey, Kai, I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So for people who don't know, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jamie LeBlanc. I live down in Southeast Texas, born and raised in Louisiana. Moved over to Texas about 1999. Little backstory growing up. It was just me and my brother. My mom, she was a single mom, raised us both on a couple jobs at a time, didn't come from much. And over the years, I learned a lot about hard work and consistency through her. So she's like my big hero. Fast forward, got my career started in the oil and gas industry, working out in the Gulf of Mexico, production platforms, drilling rigs, that type of thing. And so I continued that and excelled my career in that, moved over to Texas, had more opportunity in the refineries, plants and stuff. And for the last 10 years, up until here a few months ago, I was working for a company, Dow Chemical, as a process operator. They had a big shift in the market and did a corporate restructure. So there was some roles eliminated, and I was one of them. Got started in real estate back in 2019. Did a couple flips. I was real green and followed the footsteps of a real estate agent. She was kind of a one-stop shop. She did interior design. She also had a construction company. So she was just, like I said, one-stop shop for the flips. And I kind of moved on to that, and I wanted to start learning more about going direct to seller. And we all know that's a rabbit hole in itself once you start looking. And I did like everybody else did, jumped into YouTube, started learning a bunch of things. But there was always stuff that was left out that just, had you craving more, So I ended up following a bearded guy on YouTube. Everybody probably knows him, RJ Bates. And I attended his Crucible because I feel like it was a great fit. And I learned a lot of things in the Crucible back then, back when texting was real big. We did a lot of SMS marketing. And so after that, man, I was still working full time, working a lot of overtime. Some of it wanted, some of it unwanted. But yeah, so I hired a VA. We were pulling lists nationwide and had a VA calling. Got some good leads from that. The texting, we got quite a lot of responses. We had a good 97% deliverability rate. And I think we were doing somewhere around 63, 65 response. And a lot of those deals fell out. I've never done anything out of state before, much less, even local. So I'm getting started. And so I hit the ground running with all that. Leads were coming in and stuff. Over time, got real busy at work, started working a lot. And it got to the point where I couldn't keep up with the leads coming in, having the conversations when I need to, because we all know speed to lead is the key, right? As soon as they come in, 5 minutes, you need to be on the phone with them. So I ended up having to let my VA go, pause my systems, because the W-2 took precedence over everything. And so back in May, I was laid off from that job after 10 years. And I knew it was time. I had been seeing the writing on the wall for, probably a little over a year. And so after I was laid off, so it's time to go full time with this. So ever since then, man, I've just been doing what I can. A lot of organic leads coming in, doing mostly like SEO and just blasting the different platforms, stuff like that, sharing what I do and how I can help homeowners.
I love that, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing, dude. Yeah, it's definitely it's a roller coaster. You know, as anyone's been in the game knows, or anyone's just starting. It's a lot of ups and downs, and on social media, you see a lot of looks like all sunshine and rainbows. But,
Definitely.
yeah, it's not like that at all. So
it's not it's work, man, and it takes a mindset, and you got to be consistent with it.
100%. So you were doing the oil and gas, you did that for 10 years, and you might like to get into that for a bit. I know it's I feel like most people, if they're not in entrepreneurship yet, they feel like they have that security, being at a W-2 job, and it's kind of one of the big reasons they don't want to leave and start their own thing, is because that's what you're always taught growing up is you have the security blanket, you're working a W-2 job, it's going to be there, it's not going anywhere. I mean, I know you said you kind of saw the writing on the wall, but I mean, after 10 years, does it kind of hit you as a shock at all?
Well, it really did, man. It was a shock to my mindset, really, because I knew I was gearing up and wanted to go full-time real estate to where I could have that freedom to be home with my kids, do things with my kids. And, I was away during holidays, birthdays. I mean, I worked days and nights, 12-hour rotating shifts, tons of overtime. So you miss a lot. You miss a lot of stuff. And so to backtrack, I was wanting to go full time into something for myself, and real estate just made so much sense, right? So it was a mindset shift because I wasn't mentally ready for it, because I had that in the back of my mind. I got a great job, it's a 6-figure job, I got the job security. This ain't going anywhere. This is a huge chemical giant, corporation, but really and truly, what's job security? I mean, look at what happened.
Right.
And I have no ill will, man, at all. I mean, it's, I'm glad I had the opportunity to learn what I did being with that company, because a lot of that stuff I can put forward towards real estate. Now, so I know it sounds kind of odd. How do you put oil and gas to real estate, right? So as a process operator, we analyze a lot of data, as far as pressures, temperatures, flow rates, and so on and so forth. And you've got to keep them within a standard operating condition, right? To make the end product as pure as you can. So analyzing data, we do that a lot with real estate, right? With KPIs, it's a cost per leads, how many leads to a contract, et cetera, so being able to learn the analytical and troubleshooting side of stuff, I can carry that over to real estate.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, man. I think, business is business, and, all your experience, it matters, and it's definitely applicable and carry over, even if you don't see it right away. I feel like it, I found a lot of stuff I did previously definitely carries over.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
But so, let's jump into mindset, because I feel like that's one of the biggest struggles everyone has. It's really, it's a big battle of mindset, working for yourself, being in a business, and you have to deal with self-doubt and all the negative self-talk and a little bitch voice that never seems to go away.
Right.
But what do you do? Like, how did you, what was it like? You're kind of like, you didn't choose to leave the nest, you're kind of thrown out of it. And then you're just, it's game time.
Right. Well, I believe you got to sit in your shit for a little while, and really let it marinate. And then till you get a clear conscience on where to go forward. Right. So the biggest thing was like, okay, well, I was making a great income with it, so that's just, that income's gone. Okay. So how am I going to replace this? So I do a lot of reading on personal development books, and that, Kai, we've both been through 75 hard a couple times, and we all know the benefits of going through that program. And so for me, man, it's just, I had to sit in it for a little bit, and just try to just let things go, or let things flow as they're going to flow, and not force anything to happen, because the way I see it was like, back to the writing on the wall, there's a lot of, I believe God shows you things throughout a certain time period. And if you don't lead in that direction, he's going to put you on that path, and he's going to shut those in your face and say, look, it's time to move. Right.
Yeah.
So I firmly believe that. And so as I was, just marinating in what had happened and everything, started getting a lot of these little serendipities, just, people, topics, invitations, and just a lot of things pertaining to real estate just influx into my life, and it's like, okay, so this is the door. This is the door. And since then, a lot of other doors have opened up. And let's say you invited me on your podcast. This is my very first one. I've never done this before, so I appreciate that, letting, you pushing me outside of my comfort zone and pushing me to grow.
Of course, man.
So yeah, it's the mindset thing, man. It's just, you got to sit in it for a little while, and then you've got to come out better on the other end. So what's helped me is reading, doing a lot of reading. Like, there's a book called Unfuck Yourself, if I can say that, which is a good one, and then there's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's another, and then, you got to build yourself back up and try to get yourself back to where you were before whatever happened. Right. So read some Atomic Habits. I think that's James Clear that did that. So it was a lot of mindset work just to get back to the mindset I had before all the stuff happened.
100%. So what advice would you have for someone, and you kind of shared some actionable tips there, but what advice would you have for someone they're kind of in the thick of it, they're going through it and, is trying to get to the other side?
Man, I say, head down, focus, just sit in it for a little while, but don't sit in it too long. Get up and move. Get up and start talking to people. You want to sit there alone for a little while. You feel, depressed, let down, defeated. It feels like life was coming at you from all different directions. But the thing is to build the strength to keep going.
100%. No, I love that, man. So let's change gears a bit, kind of go back into wholesaling. So I know you said you first started, you found that great community with RJ. How important was that for you, having the right group of people around you and having a mentor or coach like that?
Well, starting out, man, you don't know a whole lot, right? So I think the key is to network with people and get in rooms with people that are doing the things that you would like to do. And I believe in relationships. So you go in and you form these relationships with these people, and you find the ones that you click with the most. And that, I think that's where a lot of it would come from, because when you network with people that are very like-minded and are going the places that you want to go, and if you can provide them value, I feel like, they would guide you. At least that's how it's been for me. I learned little bits of things from a lot of different people, and I learned a lot of stuff from few people. And to me, that's built on trust and the relationship.
100%. So let's walk through your first deal. So when you first get started, you're still working the W-2. What did it look like getting your first deal?
Okay, so I had a friend of mine. His name's Parker. He's out of Houston, and he found this deal over in Vidor, Texas, which is maybe 20 minutes from me. And this deal, I ended up scooping it up for $58,000, and we went in and done a complete renovation to it. We put about $62,000 into it. So my all-in cost before holding cost and all that was right at about 128, roughly 126. And that's with the points up front and all that through the hard money lender. So we did all that work. We listed it for 183, and we ended up selling it for 179. Now that deal, it sat on the market for 6 months. So I had a lot of holding costs with it at 12% interest on the hard money, plus all of the utilities, keep them on for showings and whatnot. But I did make a little bit off of that, but I got a lot of knowledge with that first one, so basically I got paid to learn, because being that it was my first one.
Yeah. So is that did you guys fix it up, or is that just like a wholesale type of deal? Or?
No, it was a full-blown rehab, and it was a flip. Yeah. So as far as my first wholesale deal, I think my first wholesale deal, I did 14.5 fee on that one. This one was in Orange, Texas, and I think I picked that house up for 45.5, and flipped it for 60.
Nice.
Yeah. So the guy that bought it, he came in and he did all the work and listed it for 197. So there was plenty of meat on the bone left for him, and he made a good chunk and moved on to the next one.
Yeah, it's badass. So how did that compare to fix and flip? Was it
There's a lot of moving parts with fix and flip. A lot more than wholesaling. Now there's quite a bit with wholesaling too, but to me it's an easier business model. Also with flipping, you've got a lot of risk up front. And what's the risk on the back end? Is it going to sit for a week, or is it going to sit for 60 days, 90 days? Is it going to sit for 6 months, or is it going to sell at all? So, and it's also a slow paycheck, So it say you go through a 6-week rehab, and it, say it sells right when you list it, right? Well, you're still waiting 6 weeks, versus wholesaling. You can wait 6 weeks for a paycheck depending on title, and what kind of issues arise from that. But I prefer wholesaling over flipping.
Me too. Yeah, it was like I said, a lot of lessons learned doing. Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the flips we did because we learned a lot, and we did real well on some, but we lost some money on the last one we did. And I'm like, man, I should have just wholesaled it. It would have made something. And I just literally wasted all this time managing contractors and jumping through hoops and dealing with buyers that they don't like the way this looks, or
right
bullshit.
But there's a lot of what ifs and all that in there, and then you got your contractors. If you don't have good ones, they could just not show up one day. There was a lot of kink in the timeline.
Yeah, or they do a shit job and you got to hire another one after. And yeah, lots of surprises. I always think it's gonna be real easy. Like, oh, it's in and out, and every flip we did, it was a lot more than we thought.
Right.
But awesome, man. So going back, I really like what you said about you learned a lot, or you learned a little from a lot of people, and then you learned a lot from certain people. What were some of the best lessons you learned, and what do you wish you knew when you first started that you know now?
When I first started, I wish I knew the exact people to go to. I wish I knew that at the time about shiny object syndrome, right? Because let's face it, you hop on YouTube University, right? Yeah, you can learn a lot. There's also a lot of misinformation out there. And it's one of those things where, just pick a little bit here and there and then move on. Find something that you're highly interested in, niche down in the wholesaling business, and go strictly for that. Find the, I'm not going to say guru, but find the expert in that, but make sure that you click, and like I said, relationships for me it's a big thing. And back then I wish I would have attended more RIAs or events back then instead of sitting at home or on the job, whatever, watching YouTube videos and trying to get my master's degree,
Yeah, I think there's some great lessons there for sure.
Yeah.
And I think really, like you said, your network, it's your net worth, and really the more people and especially if you know someone that's a little bit further ahead than you, or a lot more ahead than you, they've probably made the same mistakes that you're heading towards, that you're making, and they know the easiest way to pass it and get through it. And it's just time, really our most important thing we get, because you don't get any of that back.
That's right.
But no, that's great, man. I love that. So walk us through your favorite deal.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm working on one right now. I'm going to keep numbers and everything for privacy reasons, for all parties involved. But I did have a lead come through my Better Business Bureau. I've been an accredited business for right at 4 years now. It's never brought me a lead. So we're now.
Is that something you pay for, or how does that work with the Better Business Bureau?
Yeah. I think I pay roughly $500 a year for it. So I'm at about 2,000 in on it. So I'll see an ROI on it here pretty shortly. But that lead come through my Better Business Bureau, and that just goes to show that people are researching your business to see if you're legit,
100%.
And so it came through, and a real nice lady. She inherited a house after her mom passed back in April, and it was her childhood home. It's where she grew up, and she actually lives just north of Dallas in McKinney. And so she approached me. She gave me a call, and we discussed it. She said she'd like to meet me, and being that it was local, it worked out perfect. She's 20 minutes from me. So I went over there, met her brother, saw the house and all that stuff, and came home that night, ran some numbers. The next day I was able to give her a cash offer. And but she did have some meetings with a real estate agent the next few days. So she wanted to meet with her because she was trying to weigh her options on the house, and she was wanting it gone because she's ready to move on with her life, and just kind of cut ties with the past, basically. And so she met with a real estate agent, and then she gave me a call, and she said, "Mr. Jamie, we're going to accept your offer." So there was no negotiation. My first offer, I felt it was fair as could be, and then her not asking for more or trying to negotiate or anything, it told me that it was perfect for her. So from there, I have a friend of mine that's he's been looking to get into real estate for the last 3 years or so, buying his first rental. And I presented it to him, and it was perfect for him. So this is going to be his first rental. We went under contract with him 2 days ago. And he also needed a contractor. So I have some good friends out here that do some contracting. So I was able to refer him to my other friend. So I've got to say, this is probably my best deal today. I mean, my favorite, because not only did I help her, but I also brought my friends into it too, to where all my friends can win.
Right.
And back to relationships. That's
right.
I feel that's the most important thing, so all in all, we got a 4X win on this one. Homeowner, the buyer's getting his first rental. My contractor friend, he's getting some work, and then me, I'll get a coffee, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Like you said, it goes right back to what you're saying about how important relationships are in this business, and really in any business, because it's so much easier to go through someone and trust, and they know and like and trust you, and you're not just going through and just hoping, fingers crossed, that you pick the right person out of a hat.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. So awesome, man. So yeah, so I think that was a great one. So do you have any other examples or things that have happened in the business, like like the building relationships that paid off for you? Because I feel like everybody talks about it, but when you have those examples, I feel like that's always real helpful for people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can just name a few, man. As far as personal wise, I'm part of your syndicate. So we formed a relationship, man. I've gone out, excuse me. I've gone out to your events and stuff, and we've met up in California, for Scale and Escape. We've known each other for a while. Apex connected us. And I appreciate, you being my sidekick, being on my side when I need you, and vice versa. I'm part of a couple other groups. We've got Titanium Dynasty with RJ Bates and Cassie DeHaas. And then, of course, we've got Travis Wells, with the fitness community and the Real Estate Weekly. So, but yeah, man, that's relationships, brother, network.
Yeah, 100%. So being in all these groups, and I know you're well connected, a lot of different people, and then a lot of people are new and you get in groups too. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see like new people make when they're first starting out?
Let's go with two things on that: consistency and quitting too soon. Okay. But there's also another one. There's fear. A lot of us have a lot of fear, and you and I have discussed this before about call reluctancy. So whenever when I paused all my systems during, busy work, I fell into that, so it took me a little bit to get out of that after the fact, so I was out of it for a good 8-9 months. So it made it hard for me to jump back on those phones, have those conversations, especially with the mindset I was having with the layoff and all that. But yeah, consistency and stick with it longer than 30 days. I mean, that's that's about the best advice I could give as far as or what I'm seeing, and people saying it doesn't work. It does work. It just takes work.
Yeah.
It takes grit because you get punched in the mouth every day on these phones.
100%. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's great advice. I think, yeah, I mean, if I quit 30 days in, I never would have got a deal, and yeah, I never, would have done it. I would have thought it was bullshit, and yeah, but it would have been because of me.
Right.
But yeah, I think, yeah, consistency is another huge one. I feel like some people though like go real hard for a day and like they'll do a lot of action and make a couple hundred phone calls and feel real good, and then they don't do shit the next couple of days, and then it's so much better to just like do like not go balls to the wall and just like have a steady space, kind of like the rabbit and the turtle.
That's right. But yeah, there's a lot of roller coaster too, even with more experienced wholesalers. And if you're a one-man team or a two-man team, you've got a bunch of acquisitions and stuff. You've got some deals where you've got to see those to the finish line. So after that you've got TC work. Mm-hmm. After that you got dispo. So who's mining the acquisition side of it, right? It's just me. I'm by myself, but I'm constantly building that, looking to grow. So that's another thing that can cause a roller coaster effect. I was on a Zoom not too long ago, and we were talking about that. It's like, okay, well, you've got 5 deals here. Now you've got to work on the title work. You can delegate that out through a service to where you can still concentrate on your acquisition side, right? Or versus now you got to dispo these 5 properties. Who's manning the acquisition side of it? Because if you have no leads, you have no business, right? So that's where other things come into play, like on the dispo side is JVing with a trusted partner. If you've got if you're mastering the acquisition side of it, delegate out the TC to a service, and then JV with a trusted partner where they can work on the TC work and the JV side, dispoing the deal while you're still bringing the leads in
100%
until you can build your team. And that's kind of the point that I'm at. And eventually, I'd like to have a full team, but hey, baby steps, one foot in front of the other, right?
One day at a time. But yeah, no, I think that's great, man. Because I feel like it sucks when you do that, and everyone does it when they first start because you lose all your momentum. They're kind of the same thing we're talking about consistency. If you stop doing sales, you're gonna have that call reluctance again because you're doing all the other stuff. But the craziest thing is, we're talking about fear. It's never as bad as you think it is when you actually do it. And I feel like call reluctance is like the best example for that. Because as soon as you get someone on the line, you're like, oh, what was I so afraid of?
Right. And well, I'll touch on this podcast real quick. That's a fear of mine, is being in front of people or knowing that hundreds of people are watching this right now that's a big fear of mine. And it's really not that bad.
No, I'd never guess it.
It's just taking that step.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, it's always good stuff on the other side of fear. But I love that, man. So before we move over to the Q&A portion, so if you guys have any questions, if you haven't listened before, just make sure to drop them in the comments. If you have any questions for myself or for Jamie, drop them. We'll make sure we get them all answered for you guys before we hop off. But Jamie, do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with the audience?
If you're just getting started, I want to touch on 3 things. That's network, focus, and consistency. Okay, so your network is your net worth. We just talked about that. If you're getting started and you don't know where to go or how to get started, go to RIA meetups, go to investor meetups. Lenders are having them all the time. A lot of your big metro areas have them. Some of your smaller towns have them. And then there's bigger events, there's bigger boot camps. One thing I'd like to touch on is, Kai, you have an event that's coming up November the 8th. Guys, I've been to his last event. There was 80 plus in attendance, standing room only. Ton of information that was given, not to mention the 80 plus people you can connect with. And if you don't mind, there's a few others coming up. You're speaking November 17th, right? For Travis's Fit to Invest event over in Plano, November 17th. That's another good one to be in. To get tactical on things, RJ Bates is holding his first ever closers formula in Fort Worth at his office. That's a highly recommended thing. You can learn the 5-step King Closers process. The key is to get into these events, get into these rooms with these people, rub shoulders with them, shake hands, talk to them, find who you resonate with, who you click with, and offer value. Hey, I want to get into real estate. What can I do to help you to where I can learn? Can I make some calls? Can I find you some properties? The other one is focus. Once you find the people, you find what you want to do, focus on that one thing, whether it's a single marketing channel, whether it's a certain type of property, a certain type of seller. If you're going after seniors that have retired and want to move, hone in on that list. If you have, some people have more time than money, hone in on some driving for dollars. Hold off on marketing costs. If you got more money than time, pay per lead. You got speed to lead. You got need sell my house fast. You've got Lead Zolo, motivated leads. You've got several different providers out there. And the next one is consistency. Once you find the niche that you want to hone in on and you've got your focus on that one channel, stay consistent with it before you go squirrel brains looking for the next shiny object, because those shiny objects are out there and they will catch you.
100%, man. No, that's some great advice, man. Well, Jamie, I really appreciate you coming on. What's the best way for people to connect with you and see more of what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm not a big content guy, Kai. I don't put out a lot of content there, but to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook or at the Jamie LeBlanc on Instagram. You shoot me a DM. If I can help provide any value in any way, reach out. I'm always there, answer your questions or, whatever. I want to see everybody win.
I love that, man. I love that about you. And yeah, man, I'm real happy you came on and, got to do your first podcast together. And I'm sure it's going to be the first of many. So thanks everybody for hopping on. Jamie, thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate you.